Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. This is Kyra and today I am going to be showing you how I decorated my Christmas journal for the 2023 holiday year. So I have already done a video on how I created the outside of the journal, like the base for the journal, in a different video. So I will go ahead and link that down below for anybody who is new or maybe just missed it. And today we're going to be focusing on decorating the inside of the journal. So I'm going to take you through step by step how I decorated the entire thing from start to finish. So you guys can go ahead and follow along with me or get some new ideas for your own Christmas journal. I know that this is coming out a little bit late in the month, but hopefully if maybe you're just trying to think of some ways to fill up a journal or make a quick journal really fast, this can kind of give you an idea. I did make this journal in a total of, decorate the inside of it in a total of 3 days. So it's not impossible. If you have some time to just sit down and work on your journal, you can definitely get it done and fill it up with all sorts of goodies. All right, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, so to begin, I went ahead and printed out everything I would want to be using for this kit, and I cut it all out and I sorted everything kind of into little piles. So I put all of the pockets together, all of the envelopes together, all of the tabs together, and I've done most of the pre-assembling. I already kind of folded this envelope up and added a background to it, things like that. A couple of things I did not assemble were some of the smaller envelopes and things, just because I might want to fold them differently or something like that. So I only assembled a couple of items. Most of them I just cut, print, and left as is. And I go ahead and I sort them because it just helps me stay a little more organized while I'm working. And it allows me just to go a little bit faster. So I'm going to go ahead and set all of these items aside. And if anyone is interested, I am using the Hometown Christmas Junk Journal Kit as well as the add-on kit. And I'm also going to be using the Christmas the Christmas Snippet Kit, the Christmas Grunge sheet music papers, and the Night Before Christmas fussy cuts. So several kits here. I will have all of those linked down in the description box below, and as well as a pinned comment for anyone who's looking for those. But of course you can use any kit that you like, any papers that you have on hand, anything that you would want to put in your journal, go right ahead. Alright, so I've gone ahead and laid most of that aside, just picking out the pockets from both of the kits. So I've grabbed all of the pockets as well as the little coin envelopes, and I like to start with pockets just because it kind of gives me a nice starting point for my journal. If I put in the pockets, I can fill them and then decorate from there. And I'll also be making a few pockets, so I'm going to be using some of those grunge sheet music papers, which I did print on paper, and I printed them front and back like this. As well as I'll be using some scraps that I had from when I put the base journal together. I saved some of the scraps from that, so I'll be using a few of those to make some pockets as well. And then lastly, I'll be using the snippet kit. My sister actually put the snippet roll together in a video on our channel. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check that out. But I'm going to be tearing this up and using it to help decorate the journal as well as some of the pockets. Alright, so to get started here, I am going to open up my journal to the very front, inside cover page. And we're going to be making kind of an illusion pocket, although I ended up covering it up with a lot of stuff, so it's less of an illusion, but it still works. I'm just going to take this scrap piece of paper here that matches the inside cover paper, and I just kind of cut it to fit, trimmed it like this. So you can see it kind of lines up with the stripes, and that would make kind of an illusion if you just wanted to leave it as is. But I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of decorating. So again, I'm grabbing just a scrap piece of paper. Both of these came from when I made the cover itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and tear the edge. And something to remember is that if you tear it towards you, you'll get kind of this white edge, whereas if you tear the paper away from you, it'll be kind of like a clean edge. So kind of depends what look you're going for. I wanted the white showing, so I'm going to tear it towards myself. And then I'm going to take one of those like sheet music papers, and I'm going to tear another strip out from it, as well as cut like a little bit of a like a label to go inside of a label holder here. So I just sort of traced that little label out and cut it out, and then took a strip of paper and I'm just going to tear it like this. All right, and hold on to your scraps because you'll probably end up using them for decorating later. And now we can go ahead and glue those strips on. So I'm only adding glue to the top, bottom, and side, leaving the torn edge open, and that's going to create like a little tuck space. So go ahead and do that with both torn strips like this. All right, and then I'm going to add to this edge here just a little bit of that sparkly ribbon that I used on the cover in the previous video, and I'm just going to add that for a little bit of decoration here. Add a little sparkle. And then I'm going to take this paper like doily that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and just sort of eyeball where I like it and then mark with my fingernail the edge to cut off. And don't throw away that other half, we're going to use it later to make another pocket, so save that. All right, and then we can just go ahead and glue that down, and you can cut the edges off. I decided to sort of fold them behind the pocket and glue them down that way, just so I had a very nice clean edge. And then I'm gonna go over everything with some Distress ink in the color Vintage Photo and glue on my label and label holder. You could use a faux label holder that you cut out of like cardboard. I'm gonna go ahead and use this metal one that I had on hand. And now we can go ahead and add glue to the top, bottom, and side of our entire pocket, leaving the left edge open. I'm gonna go ahead and just glue that down like this. And now we have a little pocket here where we can slide some ephemera in like this. And I'm gonna add some more ephemera into my little tuck spaces that I made, just like that. And if you want to, you could go ahead and add like a little page tab to some of the pieces if you'd like, some journal words here and there. All right, and I'm pretty happy with that. So we can go ahead and move on to our next pocket, which is going to be that little lace paper doily pocket that I mentioned earlier. So I'm just adding some glue to that half, and I'm going to glue it on top of a full paper doily, leaving the top part of it open so that we can tuck some ephemera into it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue the whole thing into the page, leaving some of it sticking out of the top since I'm going for kind of a messy look. And then with these other two pieces, these were actually a freebie that came in our newsletter, which are no longer available. So if you don't want to miss out on pieces in the future, make sure that you sign up for our newsletter. I'll have a link down in the description box below so that you don't miss out on anything coming up. And then I'm going to take some tags and some twine and string, and I'm going to make some little bows at the top, adding just an eyelet to keep things solid, make it a little more decorative and cute and Christmassy. All right, just like so. And then of course, grabbing a few more ephemera pieces, going over them with some Distress ink, and I'm just going to tuck them into that little doily pocket like this. Very cute. All right, on the other side, I'm just grabbing this scrap piece of like woven ribbon that I had, and I'm adding glue to both edges and just kind of gluing it down in the corner like this. And I'm going to cover up those kind of rough edges with some buttons from my button jar, just gluing those down, waiting for it to dry. And I also had a couple of scraps lying around from those papers that I mentioned earlier. And so I'm just going to take those scraps, kind of fold them over each other like this with the thinner one in the middle. And then I'm going to fold it kind of at an angle in the center, so kind of angled wider at the top, and just folding it over like this to make like a little funnel shape. All right, so just like this. And we're going to use this to make like a little faux bouquet. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to the back here. Just glue all of these edges down, just kind of roughly. It's okay if it's kind of messy. You know, we're just using up scraps here. All right, so just fold that shut, let that dry. And then you can use any flowers that you want. I just reached into our fussy cut, what do you call it, a folder that we have, and I just grabbed some of the ones from like I believe these are the pressed flowers kit. So I'm just going to glue some of those inside of that little like bouquet holder that we made. I'm not very good at knowing what anything's called. I'm just making this up as I go. But you can see I went ahead and added some fussy cuts from like our Christmas fussy cuts here and just kind of finished out that bouquet. And I've got a little cute piece you can tuck in the corner here. All right, next up, we are going to be making a fold out piece. So I'm taking one of those sheet music papers, printed front and back, and we're going to fold it in half just like this, and then take those open edges and fold them towards that center crease like so. Okay, so it's kind of like a little accordion fold here. All right, and we are going to go over all of that with some of that distress ink again, just to kind of age all of those creases, and it's going to fold onto the page and pull out like this. All right. And I'm taking some of our little pockets that we have, our envelope pockets, and the cards that go with them. And I'm just going to go over them with some distress ink to make sure that they look a little bit more aged and nice like so. And then I'm going to add some bows to the tags, again using that string. But I'm not going to add any eyelets because I wanted to keep these thin, and those eyelets can add just a little bit of thickness. So I'm trying to keep my journal from getting too thick here. So I'm just going to punch them out regularly, tie some bows on top, just like that, to keep it as flat as possible. All right, now we can go ahead and glue in our fold out piece. And before I do that, I am going to add this little piece of twine in the back so that I can tie it shut and kind of keep everything closed inside of the journal. So I'm just going to kind of mark where I want that string at, add a little bit of glue that string down just to kind of hold it in place. So let it dry for just a little bit. And then we can go ahead and take our larger piece and glue that on top. So make sure that you have it oriented the right way when it's folding out of your journal. Once you do that, you can glue that in just like so. And then once that's dry, we're going to go ahead and add our tags to these little envelopes just like so. And then we can glue these down onto our fold out piece. Now I'm going to glue these down where I start with the first one in the bottom corner, and then the second one is going to go up towards the top, making sure that the ribbon isn't sticking out. So, you know, keep that inside of your boundaries. But we're going to stagger those envelopes. And again, this is to keep it from, if they were all even, they would all stack on top of each other and get really thick. So this just helps keep it kind of thin. And then I added a couple of little decorative tags onto the front with some distress ink. And there you go. Now you've got this cute little pocket fold out here with all of these little tags and envelopes. Nice and cute. And we're just going to tie it off with that twine like so. Make a little ribbon here. And then when you are ready to use it, all you have to do is untie the twine bow and then pull it out, and it's kind of a cute little fun motion effect here. All right. Next, on the opposite page, I'm going to glue down this little like layered pocket that we have here, just adding glue to the outside edges. And I'm going to take some of our Christmas faded photos. You could add any ephemera that you want. These are just, I thought these would be kind of cute and fun, so I'm going to add those in here, just sliding those into the slot like so. Okay, and then I am going to add a little matching tab on top to match the pocket, and then a couple of different ribbons at the bottom just for some decoration. Let it match the rest of the journal. Moving on to another page here, I'm going to grab two of these corner pockets and I'm going to layer them on top of each other, kind of just like staggering them slightly so that you can see both of them. So I'm just going to glue down the left edge and the bottom, leaving the top open, gluing them on top of each other like this. And then I'm going to add a little Christmas label that came with the kit here, and a couple of ephemera pieces, just keeping it nice and simple. Alright, on the opposite page, we're going to be making a little notebook. So I've grabbed this little edge perforator here, and I'm taking the notebook pages that come with the kit, and I'm just running that edge along the very top line, adding a perforated edge here so that the pages can tear out nice and easy. You can kind of see what that looks like here. Not perfectly straight, but close enough. And then I'm going to add some staples right at the top here to hold all of those together. And this is going to be going inside of an envelope that comes with the kit. So I'm going to just glue that to the flap of the envelope like this, keeping the perforated edge kind of below the line of the envelope lip here. You can kind of see what I'm doing like this. That'll just make it a little bit easier when you go to tear off your notebook pages. And we're going to be sliding this over the top of one of the pages in the journal so that it can kind of flip up like this and leave a little more writing space. So to do that, we are going to be taking the envelope here, and I'm going to be adding a pocket to the back by just cutting a slit through the back of the envelope like this. And I did add a piece of chipboard here to make sure I don't accidentally cut the notebook paper or the front of the envelope, and I'm using a ruler to kind of help me keep a straight line here. So just taking an X-Acto knife and cutting a slit in the back like so. And now you can tuck ephemera pieces into that slit like this, and I'm adding again one of those Christmas labels for decoration, and we're going to glue that into our journal just like this. So adding glue to the back of the envelope and then just sort of sandwiching it over the edge of the page like so. And I'm going to add like a little label at the top as well as one of these mini envelopes. And I'm just holding it closed with a tiny paper clip and charm. And I just put some little ephemera pieces like fussy cuts in there. And there you go. You got a cute extra little pocket. All right, on this next page, we're taking another one of those sort of slotted pockets here, and I'm gluing it onto a piece of candy striped paper just to make the background a little more decorative. And I'm going to glue that onto the page and add some of these little cards from the kit. And I'm using some of these mini like candy striped page tabs here. And I'm trimming some of these down because they were a little too wide for the pocket, just to make sure that everything is sort of the same size and looks nice and even here. Don't be afraid to, you know, make your ephemera work for you. All right, so there is that little pocket. Moving on, I'm going to create, again, another pocket here with a lace doily, this little paper doily here, and I'm adding this like circular ephemera piece that came in the kit, and I'm just going over it with some distress ink and then cutting a slit right through the middle, not going all the way to the edge, just sort of staying within this wreath. And then I'm going to take some Fabri-Tac glue and just go over the bottom half of the circle like this, staying as close to the edge as possible and gluing that right into the center of my lace doily. And then I'm going to take some little ephemera pieces and sort of just tuck them into the slit. I will be adding more ephemera later, but this just kind of gives you an idea of how this pocket could be used. You could use some larger pieces in the back like this, smaller pieces in the front, and there you go, a cute little layered pocket. All right, so we will come back and decorate this page a little bit more later, but for now we'll just leave it as is and move on here to our next page. So again, taking one of those paper doilies. I just love these. We picked them up on Amazon, and something about them just makes me feel, I don't know, like Christmassy, so I like using them whenever I make a Christmas journal. And we're just going to fold it over the top of the page and then add a pocket to the bottom half, some ribbon, and one of these bows that my sister picked up from the dollar store when she made her little Christmas like ornaments video. And then I'm just going to take some, you know, various ephemera pieces, envelopes, ribbons, things like that, and tuck them in there. And just a really quick and simple page. And then on the other side, I'm going to take this decorative sort of lacy ribbon here. And this is what the details for that are if you're interested. I believe this one came from Walmart. And I'm adding glue to the top and bottom edge, and then I'm gluing some of these decorative tickets on top, making sure that I go underneath it with a scrap to make sure that it doesn't glue down to the page. And now I've got a cute little belly band that we can tuck items into. So I'm going to make an envelope for that. I'm just going to go over the edge of it with some distress ink and then tuck some scraps and various pieces into that envelope. And we're going to be decorating it with these little pieces that come from the Night Before Christmas fussy cuts. as well as a couple of fussy cuts from the Christmas card 5x7 vintage kit. I'm just using some of the greenery here. And I'm just going to glue these down to make like a little sort of tuck spot for the envelope flap to kind of tuck into. So I'm just adding some glue to the side and the bottom here, this piece like this. And now we've got our decorative front and then this back, which can just kind of pop out like that. And there you go, your envelope is finished. All right. Next, we're going to move on to decorating some of these pockets using the Snippet kit. So I'm going to just tear off some portions that are large enough to fit the pockets like this. So just go ahead and tear some sections here. And again, we do have a full tutorial on how we made this little snippet roll if you are interested. And again, you can use these for decorating however you want, but I think they make really cute pockets, so I'm having a lot of fun with this, and it's really simple. You're just going to add some glue to the side and bottom of these tags and put the snippet piece on top, and it's going to make a perfect little pocket that we can glue into our journal, decoratively adding the glue to the sides and the bottom. You can leave the top of a pocket open, so that means you can tuck things behind the pocket tag and into it as well. And I'm just going to add some tags from the kit with a little bit of red ribbon at the top and just tuck a few of those into my little snippet pockets here. And then I had a few more pockets left, so I'm going to decorate them with these little, they're kind of like folded pockets, so they give like a little bit of a 3D pop to them. And I'm just going to glue those down onto the front of them here like this. And then on my remaining two pockets, these usually are like on top of those tags, but since I used the snippet kit for that, I'm going to use these separately. So I'm just taking some puff tape and some of these larger fussy cuts here, and I'm just going to pop those on top of the pockets like this. Really quick and simple. And I'm going to glue those first two in, one on top of the other like this. And then we can tuck a couple of little cards in there. And I forgot to add anything to the little pockets, but you certainly can. And then in these other pockets, again, just kind of getting rid of some of my ephemera here, filling up some of the pockets as we go. And on this page, again, I'm trying to get rid of some scraps, so I'm just going to sort of tear them into like a little triangle shape here. And then I'm just going to add glue to the side and bottom and kind of layer the two pieces one on top of the other, adding a little ribbon, some page tabs, some faded photos. And now I've got a little tuck spot, getting rid of some of the extra scraps and things. And I did add a little mouse from the Night Before Christmas fussy cuts, just because I think he's so cute and he really deserves to be in this journal. All right, and then I'm just taking a couple of the other ephemera pieces that come with the kit and some pockets and things like that, sort of just finishing things up, gluing them at, here and there wherever a page looks empty. And like with these envelopes, I just sort of assembled them and then glued them down into the page, sort of crookedly and like sticking out from the edges to kind of make it look like they were sort of just dropped into the journal, very natural and organic. And again, I'm using those labels to kind of make little tuck spaces for the lip of the envelope so that they can just open up real easy. All right, and then getting rid of the rest of my little snippet here, I'm just gonna make like a little belly band, adding glue to the top and bottom, and now I can tuck like this little card in here with a page tab and a journal word. Really quick and simple decorating. And I've got all of these little pieces that come from the Christmas card 5x7 vintage kit, which my sister made an entire video where she showed how to put this together, and it comes with red and green and also blue cards and ephemera. So I'm going to be taking the red and green ones since she used all the blue ones and just tuck them into various pockets that I already had, just kind of using up all of this pretty ephemera for my Christmas journal, making all of my pockets look nice and full. And of course you can always glue them onto things just decoratively like this. You don't have to tuck them into a pocket. I'm actually going to use some pieces to be making some paper clips that go at the top of the page. So these three over here we're going to be using to sort of do like a typical one where you glue them around the paper clip, and then these other two at the top we're going to be using brads to make them sort of swivel. You'll see what I mean in a second. And then there are these little pieces that come with the kit, and these just glue in, and I'll be showing you how all of that works in a minute. And I'm going to use one of my music sheets to sort of add some paper to the back of these pieces here. Since they're swiveling, I don't want you to see the white, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those down and cut those out, so now they have some decorative backs on them. Alright, so I'm going to go over those with the distress ink just around the edges here, and I'm going to do the same thing to these bingo cards if I can keep hold of them. And then with these pieces, you see they just glue on the top of your page real simple. If you want to, you can cut out that sort of centerpiece and make the illusion a little bit more complete, but that's entirely optional and up to you. But these are really nice if you want to keep your journal from getting too thick. You can use some faux paper clips here, and they look nice and beautiful but stay flat so your journal doesn't get too thick. Alright, so with the paper clips themselves here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that they are facing down. So you want like the sort of the curve of that inner loop to be going down because they need to clip onto the page. So make sure that you have your paper clip oriented the right way. And we're just going to sandwich it between two of our ephemera pieces here, kind of get an idea of where we want them to be so that if they're too low, you won't be able to sandwich it onto the page the way you want to with the paper clip. So make sure that it's not too low, and then we're going to add a small micro hole punch to the very bottom of the little ephemera pieces here like this. And taking that brad, we're going to go through the first one and then loop our little paper clip onto the brad like this, and then sandwich it together with the last ephemera piece on top, just like so. And then we're going to flatten out those prongs like this, and it should hold those ephemera pieces on just like that, and they can have a little bit of swivel motion. It's nice and cute. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some journal words. I just added them to that striped paper to give it kind of a border, cut it out into like a rectangle shape, took some scrap pieces here and just glued them on to make those pieces a little more interesting. And then we're going to do that same thing with these little bingo cards. And a quick tip is if you find that they are like sliding around too much, what you can do is actually bend the prongs sort of down more. So you can see this one's kind of loose here. So I'm going to take those prongs, sort of bend them down and around the paper clip, and that curve is going to help hold them together and make them more solid. But if you want to avoid the brads altogether, the really simple way to do it is just to add a bunch of glue to the ephemera pieces and just glue them together, sandwiching the paper clip in between two of them like this. So I'm going to do that with all three of these ephemera pieces, just finding some that kind of match and then going around them with distress ink to kind of hide where the edges aren't perfectly aligned. All right, and now we have all of our little paper clip toppers here, so I'm going to put those aside and we'll add those in just a little bit. Again, grabbing some ribbon scraps and some other ephemera pieces, and I'm just going to paper clip them into a page like this. Really quick and simple way to decorate. Using any other ephemera scraps that you might have, just tucking them into pockets and spaces. And I had a few more of these pockets left, and usually I layer them like top to bottom going horizontally, but today I'm going to try something a little different and put them in here vertically. So putting some glue around the sides and bottom, leaving the right edge open, and now I can tuck some of those faded photos and ephemera pieces in here, adding some fussy cuts for decorating. Just these little cute Christmas balls here. Add another one to this page. And then I have this little house here. This is from when I made my shadow box. I cut this out and I went around it with some of that decorative string. Ended up not wanting it for the cover, but I thought it would be kind of cute as like a little tuck space here. So I'm just going to add a couple of pieces, glue it into the page like that. And then I've got a few of these leftover page tabs, so I'm just going to glue those to a couple of random pages here, sort of adding to that effect of everything sort of sticking out from the edges of the pages, nice and layered and messy and very junky. And then we can finish off here with those little paper clips that we made, and I'm just going to add those throughout the journal towards the top of the pages, just like this. All right, so that is our finished Christmas journal for 2023. Sorry it came out a little bit late, but if you've got 2 or 3 days to decorate, hopefully this will give you some ideas for your journal before the holiday season is over. All right, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!